before the primaries. There'll be more after for the general. We don't do all of our general election endorsements before the primary. So we keep looking throughout the process and keeping our options open. We have to see what the race looks like. We make our endorsements based on answers to our candidate questionnaire, which, like I said, is very broad, 20-some-odd questions, votes, public statements, and with this, our PAC makes its endorsement. And so we'll be looking at all those things in those races and seeing where we can be strategic and make a difference.
Now, might I'm just going to go through here real quickly. I see mostly Ds. In fact, I see all Ds.
No. In our first round of endorsement, we've made some Assembly Republican endorsements.
Okay, but in the Assembly, there were as many as 6, is that correct? Yes votes, 4 at least yes votes on marriage when the Assembly voted twice, 3 times.
Well, first of all, somebody has to seek our endorsement. Like I said, nobody gets endorsed by the Empire State Pride agenda without filling out our questionnaire. So if a candidate doesn't fill that out, there's no endorsement to be made. So sometimes it's just a matter of that the candidate didn't seek it for whatever reason they have.
So might you endorse any, Joel Miller, here's one, sorry.
Yep.
He was a yes vote, right?
Sure.
So,
and also Janet Dupree.
Might you also perhaps endorse some Senate Republicans?
That probably would be hard because they voted against marriage.
Right.
And so I think that'd be pretty difficult. But so far we actually haven't had any endorsements to make. There haven't been any Republicans that have publicly refuted their vote last time and say that they would do it totally differently this time. We would take a look if that was the case.
Well, because there was always some speculation, actually, that the Republicans had some votes, and that the sort of general feeling, scuttlebutt, if you will, around the Capitol is if the Democrats can get within shooting distance, then, and already you've got 2. You've got Honorado, who voted no, and he's retiring to be replaced by Mike Gianaris. That's a Queens vote, and he's a yes. And you have Peralta, also Queens, who replaced Hiram Montserrat, a no vote. So that's 2 down.
Correct.
Okay, there was an assumption that there were as many as 4 Republican yeses. Do you know if you have 4 Republican yeses?
Certainly I'm not, I can't commit to any numbers or know about any numbers. I do believe that there are a number of folks who voted no on both sides of the aisle that voted no yes time that could very likely vote yes next time. That's not based on just a hope. That's based on experience. That was the case with Senator David Valesky. Yep. That was the case with Senator Ruth Hassel Thompson. That was the case with Senator Andrea Stewart Cousins. People evolve on this issue. They learn more. They hear from their constituents. They hear about the real-life struggles of our family, and they think about fairness, and they think about what New York stands for. And so those conversions can very well happen. And so we'll continue working with folks. That said, we're not willing to make endorsements on the possibility of change. We need to look at where people are, what they've done, what their record is, and what they're publicly committed to doing. That's why I'm really emphasizing this idea of being strong and out supporters.
So then, will you endorse Senator Sampson?
We'll be looking at that race as well. I mean, but he was a vote yes on marriage.
He was, but he won't commit publicly to saying strongly that he will bring this measure back up to the floor.
I actually think that we need to be focused like a laser beam on these elections and all these important endorsements that you've been talking about, and we at the Pride Agenda are. To talk about timelines and commitments and take 1 minute away from the hard work we need to do in these elections, I think is not the right thing to do at this time. To make commitments when we don't know anything about what the political dynamic is going to be after this election, I think is premature. So for us, it's about putting all the resources and all the energy we have into fighting this November.
Now, you are the state's largest organization, LGBT organization.
Statewide, yes.
Okay. The problem is that there's been a divide in the community. There's always been. I mean, there's a report in City Hall News, which is a downstate sort of sister of a publication called The Capitol up here, and there's an advocate whose name is John Winkleman who says, if we can't, to Sampson at this meeting, which happened at Junior's Cheesecake in Brooklyn, if we can't make a deal with you, then we'll make a deal with them, meaning we'll deal with the Republicans. Now, I mean, that sounds like that's pretty threatening language.
Well, the Empire State Pride Agenda, like I said, is looking at this November. It's not about making deals right now. It's about the hard work, putting resources, money, time, volunteers, staff into the key races that are going to be making a difference. Whatever deal might be out there is going to be an empty deal if we don't have the supportive, openly supportive, committed, LGBT positive candidates that we need there the next time this vote comes around.
Do you think people are still feeling it? I mean, I remember how emotional it was in the chamber that day. There was a lot. There were people who were opponents who were quite pleased to see this go down. There were people who were, like yourself and others in your community, who were very emotionally wrung out. And people were very upset. I mean, there was a lot of upset directed at Senator Duane, for example, a Manhattan Democrat who was carrying this bill, who people thought hadn't done enough in some cases. Do you think people have recovered from that, lost steam? Because there was always a question as to whether it should have come up for a vote when it was not clear that the votes were actually there.
I don't think the passion has gone down, and I don't think it could possibly. I mean, this is literally life and death. This is the question of whether we're going to be able to take care of our loved ones, be able to take care of our kids. I mean, there is nothing more personal. So absolutely the passion is there. It should be there. It's there for the Empire State Pride agenda. But the question is what happens with that passion. Does that passion become just getting discouraged? That has not been my experience in the few months I've been executive director. Quite the contrary. I've seen our community emboldened and more committed and willing to redouble its efforts to fight and do what we need to take care of our families. This is a fight we have to win.
Well, I want to thank you very much for joining us, and I'm sure Ross, we'll be talking to you a lot. This is an issue that a lot of people are watching, national issue that people are watching after Prop 8 and the overturning of that in California. So thanks for joining us. We'll be weighing in with you again.
Absolutely. Thank you.